Hello, today we are going to do a visual inspection on your scooter, and in this video I will show you how. Hello, today we are going to talk about the GY6 scooter and a little bit of the visual inspection that you should do every time you ride the scooter. If you don't really want to do every time, but at least do this at least one time a week. If you are riding the scooter every time, or if sometimes it's long time you're not really riding your scooter, you should do a visual inspection of your scooter, because this one will help to prevent your scooter to break down, plus will help you to be safe in the scooter, okay, riding the scooter. Now there is a lot of little things that you should look around when before you jump on your scooter and start to ride the scooter right away. You know, the first thing I really look is if I have an oil leak. The first thing I look, even before jumping on the scooter, if I really have the oil leak on the scooter. So my eyes will go right away on the floor where the scooter was parked for at least few hours. If I see an oil leak on the floor, I'm going to have the question. It's like, where is that leak coming from? You know, a leak can be a beginning of a problem. Oil leak, you know, can be a beginning of a problem. Where this leak can go to damage something for you, like it can go on the brakes, or it can go on the electric part of a scooter, and you're gonna have a problem with the electrical part. You know, happened before to me that an oil leak went to the starter bobina, the part that's producing the electricity for your scooter, and I really had the problem after a while that starter wasn't working anymore, was not producing anymore the electricity that was supposed to produce for the scooter. So I was having problem, and I wasn't sure what is that problem. So just for a little oil leak, that's where the oil leak went to, and it was like kind of like giving problem to the starter to make an electricity for me. So the spark plug wasn't there, the electricity wasn't there. At 4,000 RPM, my scooter was no longer producing the right electricity for the scooter to perform, okay? So that was one of the first things you should look around. So even before you jump on the scooter, look at the floor under the scooter. If you see one drop of oil, you can prevent the problem to become a bigger problem. And plus, if you're losing oil a little bit at a time, you're not sure really how much oil you're going to lose when you're riding the scooter. You might get to your destination and you burn your motor because you don't have any oil inside the piston or cylinder. So that's something you should look right away before you jump on your scooter. That's really one of the #1 reason you should look what's going on with your scooter. Number two is the tire. The tire of your scooter is one of the most important things, because this is the connection that you have. Your motorcycle, your scooter, has the connection to the floor, okay? Is the traction. That's why you're riding the scooter too. So you have to make sure your tires are nice and inflated. So, you know, make sure that you look at those tires, make sure you rub those tires, make sure you pat those tires, make sure that the tires looks good, make sure there's not any cracks on those tires, okay? So look around your tire. Now, some people, they also use the little penny to see what's the deepness of the little, you know, incision on the tire, like a little grooves on the tire. So you take the little penny, you put in the groove, and you see, you know, you should have at least 2 millimeters of space in those grooves of the tire to make sure that water, when you go above the water goes away, okay? So that's something you really have to make sure. Now, pressure, scooter pressure, tires, very important, because you don't want to be bouncing on the street, or you don't want to be sponging on the tire, because if you're too spongy, if there is not enough pressure inside your tire, instead your suspension to do the work, at that point your tire is going to go do the work, and that is not good, okay? So everybody should do their job. That's what they say, you know. The suspension should be the job of the suspension, the tire should be the job of the tire. You know, that's their job, to do what they are supposed to do. You know, keep the friction on the street and keep yourself standing up on the motorcycle or the scooter. That's really important, okay? Tire pressure for a GY6 150cc my opinion, my taste is a 30 psi on the front for the scooter GY6, and in the back I like 34 psi. Now, you know, it's like depends also where you are. If you live in an area that's really hot, you can use a little more pressure. If you live in an area that's cold, you can use a little less pressure. But more or less that's what you should have, okay? Now if you look on the bottom of the scooter where you keep your feet, there is a, you know, a lot of extraction right there. There is the number of your scooter. It also tells you what's the PSI for your scooter. That's really important. Now that's very important. Tire pressure, condition of your tires, that's something you should keep an eye on, okay? Now remember, your eyes and your ears when you're riding and when you jump on a scooter, those are the most important assets you can have, okay? So to prevent anything, okay, anything that is going to happen, you should use your ears, especially when you're riding, and your eyes, okay, when you're riding. Now before jumping on the scooter, on the motorcycle, make sure you use your eyes and look around your scooter. How is your scooter looking, okay? You don't want to jump on something that is not really unsafe, okay? Now make sure you also have a flashlight. This one is very important. Flashlights are also good because you want to really look where you have an oil leak. If something is not looking the right way, you know, on the cables, you have to make sure that everything looks good at least 1 time, 2 times a week, or every time that you gonna ride the scooter. You want to make sure that you're safe, okay? So a little light like that can help you out to look around if you don't have too much light, okay? So other thing, okay, right after you check for oil leak for your tires, I want to make sure that you move your handlebar before you're riding the scooter. You want to make sure the handlebar is turning freely, because sometimes there is a problem that sometimes like a cables or the wire for the throttle, you have a problem because it's kind of like getting somewhere and it doesn't want to get unstuck, okay? So these cables down here, they have to be free to go left and right. You have to make sure that your handlebar is free, okay? Now, right after you check your wiring and your throttle right here, you have to check right here. This one is your throttle. Your throttle has to go back right away. When you turn it this way, it has to go back, okay? Because it has a spring at the carburetor. So if this one does not go back, there is few reasons. You might have to get some lubricant like a silicone WD-40 and place it in the cable to make sure it's going to be nice and lubricated. You know, lubrication is always good for these ones. Now, especially when it's raining, especially when it's cold, many times you need lubrication for this part right here. Now, sometimes it cannot even be the cable. Sometimes it can be at the carburetor where it's the spring that gas doesn't go back anymore. But 99.9% of the time is the cable, throttle cable, that needs some love, okay? So this one, when you turn this one, make sure that goes back right away. Right after you check your throttle, you want to check all the controls that you have. Right here you have the kill switch, right here. So what you're going to do, you're going to turn the scooter on and you're going to hold the throttle a little bit and you're going to put this kill switch on the right and your scooter should be shutting off. This one is one test you should run, you know, just to make sure that part is working, because at that time you're going to need this kill switch because some kind of problem you're having with your scooter, or maybe even the throttle is stuck and you're going like you know, 50 miles an hour, you don't know how to stop. This is first thing that you're going to do. You're not going to turn the key, you're just going to use the kill switch. But you really have to make sure that this kill switch is working, okay? Now, right after you're done with this one, you want to make sure your start right here is working. We already tried to start the scooter to use the kill switch, right? But make sure it starts. See, it's starting right away, okay? This one is something really important because you want to make sure the scooter is starting. You know, sometimes there is with time, with condensation, with rain, your kill switch doesn't start. Unfortunately, you have to change it. You can try to play a little WD-40 inside here to see if you can get this one starter, the starter switch back to life. If you cannot do that, unfortunately, you have to open everything and try to change the right here, the switch start, you know, the starter, you know. Okay, right after you check this starter right here, you should check if your horn is working. Right here you have the horn. Right here on the left side you have the horn. You have to make sure it's working. Okay? This one is something really important because when you're there on the street you have to make sure people know. Especially if they don't see you, don't be afraid to use the horn and let people know that you're there. Right after you try to test the horn, right here you're going to have the lights, okay, high beam and low beam. Now, it's better if you have a garage to check your lights when you're inside the garage, okay? So you cannot check the high beam and the low beam. Or you're just gonna put the high beam and you're going to look in front of the scooter and see if they're working, okay? Now this one is something really important. Okay, right after you check all your lights and the horn and all the things if they're working, you should check your turn signal. Turn signal are right here on the left side, and they're very easy. You just turn right and you press. Now if you listen to my scooter, I place a little sound to make sure every time I will turn off my turn signal, but sometimes there's a possibility that I forget about things, you know. So if you like, you can check my other videos that I place online and you can see how to place a little sound to your turn signal. Now, when you turn the one on the right side, make sure you look in the front and you look in the back to make sure your turn signal are working. Now, test the right side and test the left side. Now, right here on your cluster, right here, you're going to see, you know, if the turn signal are working. But you know, sometimes this one is blinking, but on the player signal they're not blinking. So you have to make sure that everything is really working the way it should be working. Okay, so especially for your safety. Now when you try to do the right side, you can do the left side too, and then try to press again. Now, funny thing, those scooters are here, they also have the emergency right here blinkers. So you just place the emergency blinkers to see if they're working. You can hear the noise, and also you can have to look around your scooter if this one is working. Now, another thing you should check is to pull in your brakes and look in the back to see if your light is working. Brake light and the position light. You want to make sure that is working. It's very important because people in the back, you know, they need to know that you're stopping. They need to know that you're there. Especially at nighttime, you don't really have much light in the back. So they really need to see your light stopping or in a position light. Okay, so this one is very important. Now, right after you check everything, something really important is the suspension. Suspension, what you should do, you should hold both of the brakes and push back and forth. You know, this way your scooter is going to press on the front suspension and the rear suspension. This one is really important. You can do that to make sure your suspensions are working properly. Now, right after you're done with that, you should check your stand. You know, the center stand, and you should check your side stand. You know, the side stand is very important because these scooters, they don't really have a switch at the side stand or the center stand, because some scooters or some really good motorcycle, they have a switch there that if that stand is not up when you're leaving, your motorcycle is not going to start or something. So that will be like a really good safety device. But unfortunately with the Chinese scooter we don't really have that. We can, I think one day maybe we can place one, but it's okay for now. Just to make sure your side stand comes back up. Make sure there is lubrication. Make sure that that stand is really important for you, and make sure that that stand goes back up. If not, when you're riding your scooter, you're gonna be like a pogo stick and bound somewhere, because that, you know, the kickstand is gonna be out. So that is not really a good feeling when you do like a pogo stick style from your scooter. Okay, so this one is another thing you should check. On this area right here, you got to have the caliper of the front brake. So I want you to look at the front brakes to make sure how much meat do you have on the pad. Okay, so try to look on the side, on the bottom, how much meat you have on that brake pad. That's really important, because you really need to stop once in a while. So you want to make sure that you have brakes. So right after that, try to touch the cable or try to touch the hose of the front brake to make sure nothing is moving. Try to touch the bolts and screws that are around here. Okay, it's very important. You want to have, make sure you want to have an idea that everything is safe down here. Okay, now if you look at the front wheel, you want to make sure there is no cracks or no breaks or nothing that looks suspicious. You want to make sure that this wheel look healthy. Okay, this is very important. Now right here you have the rubber of your tire. Make sure that this tire looks good. Make sure there is not any screw inside. Make sure there is nothing that is really going to be dangerous for you. Now around the tire right here, make sure there is not any cracks, because sometimes cracks happen right here, and you know, you never know, your tire might get damaged when you ride in a scooter. You really only have two tires, okay? So if you lose one tire, you might have a problem. You're not with a car that you're gonna slow down and change that tire. If one of these tires break or explode, you really don't have a problem. Okay, so be safe. Make sure that your tires look good. Make sure that the treading looks good. Try to check how much wearing and tearing you have on your tire. It's really important. Okay. Now the rotor of the brake, that's another thing. Make sure there is not too much, you know, grooves on it. Make sure it's nice and shine. You know, you have to look at the overall of this tire and the brake system to make sure that this scooter will be safe for you to ride. Now right here they also have plastic, so make sure to kind of like pull the plastic slightly to make sure the plastic is not going to vibrate or is not going to move when you're riding the scooter. Okay, do like that. Try to see if nothing is moving. Very important. When you are up here doing inspection and the front plastic of your scooter, try to get the plastic from here and pull up a little bit to make sure that this part of the plastic is nice and firm. Okay, now try to pull this one a little bit this way. You can also knock a little bit to make sure nothing is vibrating, nothing is loose. Okay, now this mirror, many times they get loose a little bit, so make sure they're always tight. Okay, because sometimes they tend to close up on you and they kind of scare you, or they take your attention when you're riding your scooter. So make sure that these mirrors are nice and tight. Okay, now this on the front part. Since you are here, also look at the side of the lights to make sure the lights are okay, and then make sure the lights they look good, and make sure nothing is burning, because sometimes everything is made of plastic inside all those lights, and sometimes they melt. So you get what you get with this product. You pay what you get. That's what it is a little bit. But if this one get damaged and doesn't reflect the right light, you can buy a new set of these lights for about $34, $40 on eBay or Amazon or online. Anywhere you can find it. So you need to have the right light. You need to have a light brightness with your scooter, so people, they know that you are there or you're coming in their direction. And they're very important at night time too. Okay, so this one is the front part of your scooter. If you're looking on the right side of the scooter, always make sure that your carpet is nice and firm. I also make the video online that will teach you how to make sure that floor mat doesn't go anywhere with Velcro. So I made a video so you can enjoy the video and make sure that this one doesn't go anywhere. Now, unfortunately, this part right here, they're made of plastic, and they're plastic screwed on frames. So sometimes the screw breaks the frame or screw breaks the plastic, and this one will hang out. So you have to make sure the place is gonna stay in place. Make sure this part right here is not going to go anywhere. So make sure that you shake a little bit with the hand to see if it's moving or not. This one is really important to make sure that this part doesn't go anywhere when you're riding your scooter. Now right up here, you're pretty good, pretty solid. Just make sure you touch your scooter. Make sure you vibrate with your hand to make sure nothing is loose. Okay. Now down here on the right side, you have the exhaust. Make sure when it's cold, you can check to make sure these brackets are okay, and the rear part of the exhaust that is always wobbling, is always rattling, and makes a funny noise. Make sure that this part is firm, okay? Make sure that it doesn't move, because this bolt around here, if you're nice and tight, that's great. If they start to get loose, this one start to vibrate and can break the rear, brackets. Okay, if this one breaks down first, and the other one, because it's going to force, is going to break right after. So pay attention to this part right here of your exhaust. Down here, not too much. It's okay. Usually they doesn't move too much, but always make sure that you look at everything with your eyes. Your eyes are your best asset on these problems. Okay. Now, so you can, be one step ahead of anything that is going to happen with your scooter. Right. Back here, you're going to see your springs, your shocks. You just have to look at them to make sure they're okay, they don't have too much rust. Sometimes they're not really a great product, this one. And you have to make sure that they look good, You have to make sure there is no rust, not too much rust, and make sure that the center stand of the shock is nice and oil, or if you can spray some WD-40 or some silicone WD-40, that's even better. Now when you're here doing a visual inspection, you should check the dipstick. You want to make sure that you have oil on your scooter. Oil is very important. That's what your scooter uses to maintain its healthiness. So you have to make sure that you have enough oil until the excess not appear. Until the excess, you want to make sure that you have oil. This is very important. Now you clean it, you put it back inside. You don't have to you don't really have to screw it in, and you take it out and you make sure that on the right side, on the dipsticks, you have oil. Now you can close it back again, and you can go on the other side to have a visual inspection of your scooter on the other side. Okay, right here on the left side of your scooter, there is a lot of many things to check. Now, right here you have the CVT cover. Right behind the CVT cover, down here, there is a hole. That's where the airflow coming from the front part of the CVT cover goes back here and goes out from the back. There is a hole right here. Just place your finger in the hole and look at your finger. This finger is going to be kind of dirty, because the problem that it is the belt that is making some dust, of black dust that is rubbing somewhere and is making some dirt. But in the same time, if you look a little sparkle on this black dust that is coming from the CVT cover, if you see some gold things, a little sparkle gold thing, those are the weight rollers that you have inside your variator. They are breaking down. After a long time, the brakes, the roller weight, they're breaking down. The opening and closing, they're getting some wear, they're breaking down. So if you have a lot of gold dust, it's time for you to change the roller weight there inside. So you place your finger down here and you look. This one is something really important. Now, right after you've done that, make sure you keep a visual on your shock suspension in the back to make sure it's healthy. Okay, this one is something really important. Now again, look around to make sure you don't have any oil leak. Down here you also have, this one is the drain for the carburetor. Make sure that it's not leaking, okay? Because this one has to be closed. You only have to open that drain cap to drain your carburetor, to clean your carburetor, or if you store your scooter, you can drain your carburetor from there. Now, back here, make sure the plastic looks good. Make sure it's not shaking, okay? Make sure everything looks pretty good. The same thing, look at the rear tire. Make sure you have enough treading on the rear tire. Make sure the rims looks good. Okay? Now, pressure, tire pressure. Also in the rear tire is very important to have a good tire pressure. In the rear side, I like to have a 34 psi on the pressure. Now, it also depends how much is your weight. I'm weighing about 230 pounds. So if you are lighter than me, you don't really need to have all this PSI, right? So there is something also that you really have to pay attention to. That's when you're taking the pressure for a tire, you should take the pressure for a tire when the tires are cold. If the tires are hot and you already went for a ride, you're not going to get the right tire pressure on those tires, okay? So after looking this part right here, side stand is really important, okay? You have to make sure that when you put the scooter up, the side stand goes up. If it doesn't goes up, that's the problem. So, the side stand doesn't go up, you just put some lubrication. You can place a little WD-40 silicone, that I like that one. That is a really waterproof product, and with longer time doesn't go away like a regular WD-40. Now this one is something you should check. Right up here, there's a plastic. You know, the plastic is, this plastic right here is tied up to the frame. So, with some screws. And sometimes the plastic, it breaks. So you have to make sure that this part right here is not moving and is safe. Again, right here on the left side too, make sure the carpet stays there. Stay where it's supposed to stay. This floor mat, okay? Right after this one, you can go to the front tire and you can check the front tire for pressure, and there is also a cable over there for the odometer, you know, for the speed. And you want to make sure that that cable is not moving too much. So, you know, in the scooters you really have to open your eyes, look everywhere to make sure these scooters are safe for you to ride. Something really important. Okay, let's make a little recap of the scooter inspection for, you know, preventing any problem with your scooter. We start with the little oil leak, so even before you jump on the scooter and start to running like crazy and having a lot of fun, look your scooter underneath. If your scooter has been parked for a while, look if you see any oil leak. That's really important for you. That's very, very important. Number one. Number two, tire pressure is one of the most important things for you and your scooter, because that's the only connection, the tires, that you have between you and the floor, okay? So that needs to be, make sure that you have the right PSI. You have to make sure the tire, they look good, they have the right treading, they're not too wear out. So look with your eyes, make sure the tires are safe for you, okay? Now that's something else. Number two. Number three, let's go to number three. You want to make sure that all the plastic look good. You know, make sure that all the screws are tied to the plastic. You know, unfortunately these scooters, the frame is tied to the plastic. Sometimes the plastic breaks because the frame is stronger than the plastic. So keep an eye on all the parts. You don't want anything fly on you when you're riding the scooter. That's really important, okay? Number three, your kickstand. You know, make sure your kickstand comes back right away when you're leaving. You know, you just put a little WD-40 or a silicone WD-40 is even better, because that one has a little more waterproof product. Now, right after that, control all the controls right here and test all the controls, like the lights, the turn signal, the starter button, the kill switch, the position lights, everything, the horn, okay? Make sure you check everything. Make sure that everything works. Look at the lights in the front, in the back. All right, here on your mirror you have two lights, so make sure everything is working. You need to be safe to ride on the street. You need to be safe for yourself and for your scooter, so you're not going to damage the scooter and not going to damage yourself. Okay everybody, I'd like to thank you very much for watching my video. If you have any question, feel free to subscribe. If you like, please click the like button, and thank you very much for watching my video.